They called it the Blackbird, a plane built not to fight, but to outrun the very concept of time.
Born in the secrecy of Lockheed's Skunk works, it was designed to replace the U-2 and fly higher and faster than anything else. Aerospace engineer Kelly Johnson guided a pioneering team that pushed the boundaries of known engineering. Developing to withstand the heat of Mach 3, aluminum was useless. The entire airframe had to be built from titanium.
Ironically, the United States had to covertly purchase the titanium from its adversary, the Soviet Union. Its shape was alien. The long chines blended the wings into the fuselage to provide lift and reduce radar cross-section. It was one of the first aircraft designed with stealth in mind, minimizing its visibility to enemy radar systems. The black paint was actually a dark blue, designed to absorb heat and camouflage the jet against the night sky.
On the ground, it leaked fuel. The panels were designed to fit loosely to allow for expansion at high speeds.
Once airborne and hot, the titanium expanded inches in length, sealing the fuel tanks tight. Pilots wore full-pressure suits, identical to those used by astronauts, to survive the hostile environment near space. The cockpit was a maze of analog dials and switches, requiring intense focus and coordination.
The heart of the beast was the J-58 engine, a mechanical hybrid that behaved like a rocket at high speeds.
To wake the giant, start carts powered by V8 engines were used to spin the massive turbines up to speed. A shot of triethylborane created a signature green flash, igniting the special JP-7 fuel. It moved like a predator on the ground, eager to leave the Earth behind.
Takeoff was loud and violent, a brute force rejection of gravity.
With a roar that shook the ground for miles, the Blackbird took to the sky.
To reduce weight for takeoff, it launched with only a partial fuel load.
The first order of business was always a rendezvous with a tanker to top off the tanks.
Refueling was a delicate dance, piloting a high-speed jet at its lowest stable speeds.
Once full, the Blackbird was heavy, leaking, and ready to unleash its true potential.
The pilot pushes the throttles forward. The climb to the stratosphere begins.
Mach 1 is passed quickly. For this plane, supersonic is just the beginning.
As speed increases, massive spikes in the engine inlets retract to control the airflow shockwave.
At Mach 3, the engines function as ramjets, deriving most of their thrust from the inlet design itself.
The exhaust creates a beautiful, deadly pattern of shock diamonds, a signature of immense power. Friction with the air generates incredible heat. The glass of the cockpit becomes hot to the touch.
Cruising at Mach 3, 3 times the speed of sound, faster than a rifle bullet. At 85,000 feet, the sky turns black. You can see the curvature of the Earth.
It is a lonely place.
For navigation, the aircraft relied on the stars. An automated astro-inertial system continued.
Its weapon was a camera. It could photograph a license plate from 15 miles up.
It provided critical intelligence, peering behind the Iron Curtain without ever crossing a border.
Advanced radar systems could map the terrain in high resolution, day or night, rain or shine.
Pilots in Okinawa nicknamed it Habu, after a venomous pit viper found on the island.
The greatest threat was the surface-to-air missile. Thousands were fired at the Blackbird.
Enemy batteries would track the fast-moving blip and fire in desperation.
The Blackbird carried no guns. It carried no missiles. It had no countermeasures.
When a missile launch was detected, the protocol was simple: accelerate and leave the missile behind.
By the time the missile reached the target's altitude, the Blackbird was already gone. Not a single SR-71 was ever lost to enemy fire. It was simply too fast to catch.
Its sonic boom was a double crack that could be heard on the ground, a signature of its passing. It flew from Los Angeles to Washington, D.C. in just 64 minutes.
Pilots often asked air traffic control for ground speed checks, just to hear the incredible numbers read back.
But speed had risks. An unstart meant the airflow disrupted, causing a violent yaw that slammed the pilot's head against the cockpit.
Recovering from an unstart at Mach 3 required nerves of steel and lightning reflexes.
The fuel, JP7, was so stable you could drop a lit match into it, and it wouldn't ignite.
The fuel was used as coolant, circulating behind the hot skin to keep the airframe from melting. The tires were infused with aluminum powder to reflect heat and filled with nitrogen at 400 psi.
At night, the exhaust plumes grew hundreds of feet long, a spectacular sight known only to a few.
It was the closest a human could get to being an astronaut, without leaving the atmosphere.
The RSO, the back seat, managed the sensors and navigation, the silent partner in the mission.
Trust between the crew was absolute. At 3,000 feet per second, there is no room for error.
The descent was a long, calculated glide to manage the cooling of the airframe. As it slowed, the titanium contracted, the aircraft literally shrinking back to its original size.
Returning to the world of subsonic flight, the beast prepares to land. Landing speeds were high. The pilot had to fly it all the way to the ground. A giant drag chute was essential to stop the momentum of the heavy titanium bird.
The mission ends. The metal ticks and pings as it cools, resting after the sprint.
Maintenance was grueling. For every hour of flight, it required hundreds of hours of work.
There was a fighter variant, the YF-12, armed with missiles, but it never entered service.
Experiments included launching supersonic drones from the back of the Blackbird.
The cost was astronomical. A single flight cost as much as a small army operation.
Eventually, satellites began to take over the role of reconnaissance. They were cheaper and safer.
But satellites couldn't be everywhere at once. The Blackbird was retired, then brought back, then retired again.
NASA used the Blackbird for high-speed research long after the military retired it.
In 1990, it made its final flight to the museum, breaking 4 speed records on the way.
It remains a testament to what humans can achieve with slide rules and determination. Today, they rest in silence. Giants sleeping in hangars of glass and steel.
The sonic boom has faded, but the echoes of its achievements still ring loud.
Rumors of a successor exist, but nothing has yet stepped out of the shadows to claim the crown.
The men who flew it were a rare breed, masters of speed and altitude.
It wasn't just a machine. To its crews, it had a soul, a personality.
Beautiful, dangerous, fast, It was the ultimate expression of Cold War aerospace.
Decades later, the official records set by this aircraft still stand unchallenged.
It inspired science fiction and future aerospace designs for generations. It chased the sun, and for a brief moment in history, it caught it.
The Blackbird has flown its last mission, but the sky will always remember its shadow.
No manned aircraft has ever flown faster or higher since. The king of speed sleeps, but its record remains unbroken.